Welcome to Op-Ed Live. I'm Omar Etman, and I'm joined by our managing editor, Reszutek, and our opinion editor, Christina Coleburn, to talk about catcalling and street harassment. If you are a woman or man who thinks that street harassment doesn't matter because you personally haven't been a victim of it, know that someone you care about, someone you know, has certainly been hurt by it. Whether it's a "good morning beautiful" whispered in your ear on the way to work on the subway at 6 a.m., or whether it's a "you girls are gorgeous" just sneakily slipped by as you're going to brunch in Soho on a Sunday, or you're not even going to say thank you after a bad remark is said, or someone calls you a whore and spits on you, or you're wearing that dress, are you teasing me, or whether nothing is said at all and you're followed, or just an uncomfortable glance. When I asked some of the women at the Washington Square News office to describe or recount some of the instances in which they were harassed on the street, so many couldn't remember a specific instance because there had been so many. Last week, a woman in Queens was slashed in her throat because she responded to someone who sexually harassed her. In Detroit, on Tuesday, a woman was shot, killed, after leaving a funeral for responding to a harasser. I mean, the issue is everywhere, so I know it's affected you too as well.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
In my piece, I just picked one instance, and as you said, there have been so many. That happened this past summer. I told the readers to imagine that you're walking down Grand Street in Soho on a sunny day.
Mm-hmm.
And
as you were.
As I was, and a white van decides to pull over, roll down its window, and the driver starts saying sexually explicit things to you. When that happened to me, this was the first time I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try responding. Because before I would just kind of freeze up and not know what to do. I decided to take my headphones off. I may have used expletives myself, and I basically said, leave me alone, go away.
Yeah.
And he decided to continue following me down the street while I was walking and he was driving, and continue to say angrily things because I decided to react, and I didn't want what his advances were saying. And it's just been a problem for everyone, and this is just one of the many instances that I've had, and I know Christina has had a pretty frightening interaction just a few weeks ago.
Yes, 2 weeks ago I had an experience which brought this sort of ominous deja vu given the experiences that other women have had on the NYU campus pretty much a year ago. Last year, as we all know, there was the attempted rape and the robbery of a woman in Soho, which is near where I live. And the second incident, last Halloween, a female worker near the NYU Catholic Center was raped. And that's where my incident occurred, only unlike this woman who was raped in the wee hours of the morning. My incident occurred at 2 p.m. Lots of people were around. It was a crowded street next to Washington Square Park. I was followed, harassed, and no one said anything. I was yelled at once I ran away and neglected this man's advances. And suddenly I was made to feel as though I had done something wrong and was ashamed for being, like I said, the victim of street harassment.
Exactly, and the fact that, you know, regardless what time of day it is.
It was 2 p.m. and noon.
It was 2 p.m. noon, regardless what time of day it is, and especially the fact that you were on campus surrounded by students. 2 p.m. is when people are going to class.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Everyone, like a lot of people have 2 p.m. classes.
It's one of the most populous areas on the NYU
Exactly,
campus.
And no one said anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is really a statement to the overall lack of dialogue on this problem, just in society in general.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, this issue is so difficult to police, so if we don't police it ourselves,
Exactly.
it will continue to be a problem. Let me just provide some numbers to give scale to the problem. According to a 2014 survey, 65% of American women have experienced street harassment. 23% have been sexually touched. 20% have been followed, and 9% have been forced into a sexual act. I mean, and perhaps the numbers are so high because sexual harassment can be so many things. It can be leering, whistling, a sexist comment, a vulgar gesture, just a glance, or a touch on the back. It could be anything. I mean, it's so broad.
Exactly, and the fact that it is so broad and so hard to define legally is probably the reason that we have had such a problem with trying to deal with street harassment, because I think personally, and I don't want to speak for Christina, but I think the worst is when someone just says hello to you, but it's said in such a way that it makes you feel dirty.
A connotation to that hello that makes me want to cry or take a shower or crawl in my bed or call my mother. It's like it's debilitating, and it takes away all the, even though I know I can handle myself, I'm a strong young woman, and the like, it's as if you're a child or a little girl, or everywhere is unsafe, which it is with the prevalence of street harassment. But in many ways, it can strip you of everything that makes you feel capable and confident walking to work or to class or what have you. It's that powerful, and it doesn't seem that way based on the way we cannot police, or the way legality has not extended to street harassment and catcalling in the way other forms of assault and the like.
Exactly.
NYU has made some efforts. It's like it released its Reform Sexual Assault, Sexual Misconduct policy on September 30th. It came with some positive changes regarding sexual assault, consent, stalking. A good first step, a really good first step.
Definitely. The misconduct policy is a wonderful step in the correct direction. We're now going to have soon a facility devoted to people who have been sexually assaulted, who have been raped, or who are just having any problem with consent. There's a place that someone will be able to go to, and there will also be new educational policies, an alcohol EU-esque policy that I feel should also include street harassment, which is a great way to, as we said before, just kind of further that dialogue and make it that street harassment, though it's not rape, can lead to dangerous things such as that. So we really need to open up the dialogue as a university.
Right, and as you mentioned with the Detroit situation and the Queens situation, these things do escalate, and many of the people who catcall and harass women are repeat offenders, sometimes who have other felonies, as was the case with, say, the woman at the Catholic Center last year. So in this way, as equally important to me as the tangible policies is the attitude around campus, and the lack of this apologist, defeatist attitude that sort of shirks the responsibility we have to each other to say this is wrong, we must stand up for each other, it's unacceptable, we can't tolerate this. It's disrespectful, it's uncalled for, we don't need it, we gotta get rid of it.
I agree. I'm going to end on that point because I think it's a really strong one. I'm going to look into the camera. Like women or men who have been victims of street harassment don't have an apologist attitude toward what happened to you. What happened to you is wrong, and you didn't deserve it.